Copernicus by Alfred Noyes. The neighbors gossiped idly at the door. Copernicus lay dying overhead. His little throng of friends, with startled eyes, whispered together in that dark house of dreams from which by one dim crevice in the wall he used to watch the stars. His book has come from Nuremberg at last, but who would dare to let him see it now? They have altered it. Though Rome approved in full, this preface, look, declares that his discoveries are a dream. He has asked 1,000 times if it has come. Could we tear out those pages? He'd suspect. What shall be done, then? Hold it back a while. That was the priest's voice in the room above. He may forget it. Those last sacraments may set his mind at rest and bring him peace. Then, stealing quietly to that upper door, they opened it a little and saw within the lean white deathbed of Copernicus, who made our world a world without an end. There, in that narrow room, they saw his face gray, seamed with thought, lit by a single lamp. They saw those glorious eyes closing, that once had looked beyond the spheres and seen our ancient firmaments dissolve into a boundless night. Beside him knelt two women, like bowed shadows. At his feet, an old physician watched him. At his head, the cowled Franciscan murmured, while the light shone faintly on the chalice. All grew still. The fragrance of the wine was like faint flowers, the first breath of those far celestial fields. Then, like a dying soldier that must leave his last command to others, while the fight is yet uncertain, and the victory far, Copernicus whispered, in a fevered dream, "Yes, it is death. But you must hold him back, there, in the doorway, for a little while, until I know the work is rightly done. Use all your weapons, doctor. I must live to see and touch one copy of my book. Have they not brought it yet? They promised me it should be here by nightfall. One of you go and hasten it. I can hold back death till dawn. Have they not brought it yet? From Nuremberg. Do not deceive me. I must know it safe, printed and safe, for other men to use. I could die then. My use would be fulfilled. What has delayed them? Will not someone go and tell them that my strength is running out? Tell them that book would be an angel's hand in mine, an easier pillow for my head, a little lantern in the engulfing dark. You see, I hid its struggling light so long under too small a bushel, and I fear it may go out forever. In the noon of life's brief day, I could not see the need as now I see it, when the night shuts down. I was afraid, perhaps, it might confuse the lights that guide us for the souls of men. But now I see three stages in our life. At first, we bask contented in our sun and take what daylight shows us for the truth. Then we discover, in some midnight grief, how all day long the sunlight blinded us to depths beyond, where all our knowledge dies. That's where men shrink, and lose their way in doubt. Then, last, as death draws nearer, comes a night in whose majestic shadow men see God, absolute knowledge, reconciling all. So, all my life I pondered on that scheme which makes this earth the center of all worlds, lighted and wheeled around by sun and moon and that great crystal sphere wherein men thought myriads of lesser stars were fixed like lamps, each in its place, one mighty glittering wheel revolving round this dark abode of man. Night after night, with even pace they moved. Year after year, not altering by one point their order or their stations, those fixed stars. In that revolving firmament, the plough still pointed to the pole. Fixed in their sphere, how else explain that vast unchanging wheel? How, but by thinking all those lesser lights were huger suns, divided from our earth by so immense a gulf that, if they moved 10,000 leagues an hour among themselves, it would not seem one hair's breadth to our eyes. Utterly inconceivable, I know, and yet we daily kneel to boundless power and build our hope on that infinitude. This did not daunt me, then. Indeed, I saw light upon chaos. Many discordant dreams began to move in lucid music now. For what could be more baffling than the thought that those enormous heavens must circle earth diurnally, a journey that would need swiftness to which the lightning flash would seem a white slug creeping on the walls of night, while, if earth softly on her axle spun one quiet revolution, answered all. It was our moving selves that made the sky. seem to revolve. Have not all ages seen a like illusion baffling half mankind in life, thought art? Men think, at every turn of their own souls, the very heavens have moved. Light upon chaos, light, and yet more light. For as I watched the planets Venus, Mars, appear to wax and wane from month to month as though they moved, now near, now far, from Earth. Earth could not be their center, was the sun their sovereign lord then, as Pythagoras held? Was this great Earth, so established, so secure, a planet also? Did it also move around the sun? If this were true, my friends, no revolution in this world's affairs, not that blind maelstrom where imperial Rome went down into the dark, could so engulf all that we thought we knew. We who believed in our own majesty, we who walked with gods as younger sons on this proud central stage, round which the whole bright firmament revolved. For our especial glory must we creep, like ants upon our midget ball of dust lost in immensity? I could not take that darkness lightly. I withheld my book for many a year, until I clearly saw, and Rome approved me, have they not brought it yet, that this tremendous music could not drown the still supernal music of the soul, or quench the light that shone when Christ was born. For who, if one lost star could lead the kings to God's own Son, would shrink from following these to his eternal throne? This at the least we know, the soul of man can soar through heaven. It is our own wild wings that dwarf the world to nothingness beneath us. Let the soul take courage, then. If its own thought be true, not all the immensities of little minds can ever quench its own celestial fire. No, this new night was needed, that the soul might conquer its own kingdom and arise to its full stature. So, in face of death, I saw that I must speak the truth I knew. Have they not brought it? What delays my book? I am afraid. Tell me the truth, my friends. At this last hour, the Church may yet withhold her sanction. Not the Church, but those who think a little darkness helps her. Were this true, they would do well. If the poor light we would confuse or blind us to the light of lights, let all our wisdom perish. I affirm a greater darkness, where the one true Church shall, after all her agonies of loss and many an age of doubt, perhaps, to come, see this processional host of splendors burn like tapers round her altar. So I speak not for myself, but for the age unborn. I caught the fire from those who went before, the bearers of the torch who could not see the goal to which they strained. I caught their fire, and carried it, only a little way beyond. But there are those that wait for it, I know. Those who will carry it on to victory. I dare not fail them. Looking back, I see those others, fallen, with their arms outstretched dead, pointing to the future. Far, far back, before the Egyptians built their pyramids with those dark funnels pointing to the north, through which the pharaohs from their desert tombs gaze all night long upon the polar star, some wandering Arab crept from death to life led by the plow across those wastes of pearl. Long, long ago have they not brought it yet. My book, I finished it one summer's night, and felt my blood all beating into psalm. I meant to print those verses in my book, a prelude, hinting at that deeper night which darkens all our knowledge. Then I thought the measure moved too lightly. Do you recall those verses, Elsa? They would pass the time. How happy I was the night I wrote that song. Then, one of those bowed shadows raised her head, and, like a mother crooning to her child, murmured the words he wrote, so long ago. In old Cathay, in far Cathay, before the Western world began, they saw the moving fount of day eclipsed, as by a shadowy fan. They stood upon their Chinese wall. They saw his fire to ashes fade, and felt the deeper slumber fall on domes of pearl and towers of jade. With slim brown hands, in Araby they traced, upon the desert sand, their rams and scorpions of the sky, and strove and failed to understand. Before their footprints were effaced, the shifting sand forgot their rune. Their hieroglyphs were all erased, their desert naked to the moon. In Baghdad of the purple nights, Haroun al-Raskid built a tower, where sages watched 1,000 lights and read their legends for an hour. The tower is down, the caliph dead. Their astrolabes are wrecked with rust. Orion glitters overhead, Aladdin's lamp is in the dust. In Babylon, they bake their tablets of the clay. and year by year, inscribed there on the dark eclipses of their day, they saw the moving finger write its mean, on their sun. A mightier shadow cloaks their light, and clay is clay in Babylon. A shadow moved towards him from the door. Copernicus, with a cry, upraised his head. The book, I cannot see it. Let me feel the lettering on the cover. It is here. Put out the lamp, now. Draw those curtains back, and let me die with starlight on my face. An angel's hand in mine. Yes, I can say my Nunc Dimittis now. Light, and more light in that pure realm whose darkness is our peace.